In studio, the head of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, Mumo Matemu. Welcome to Sunday Live.
Thank you, Julie.
We're posing a provocative question tonight.
Yes,
we're saying, look, the fight against corruption was lost a long time ago, and therefore it can't be business as usual. And the poll question, which should be on your screens in just a moment, the views we're trying to get from the public today, asking, is the EACC doing enough to justify its existence? And Mumo, we're looking at investigation of corrupt activities, recommended prosecution, prevention of the occurrence of corrupt practices. You have a role to advise public institutions, educate the public as well, enlist public support and facilitate the recovery of ill-gotten wealth. The question then I'll pose to you, people think EACC has more bark than bite. What would you say to them?
I would start from where you started, Julie, about whether the war was lost. I would put that in the context of the constitution that we gave ourselves in 2010. It is the same Kenyans who decided it is time we anchored the fight in the constitution. If they thought it was a lost cause, they wouldn't do that. Coming to the question of more bark than bite, I would like to ask Kenyans to reflect on what we've done, both in what people have come to popularly call grand corruption. And we have been able to show that from where we sit, the law is blind to status. It is made for the mighty and the saintly. We have demonstrated that we will tackle corruption where it occurs regardless of the status. And that's something that we will continue doing.
So let me put the next question to you. And, you know, people want to see blood. Let me put it in the simplest terms. They want to see people taken down. And so the question is, when are we going to see successful conviction of people, particularly when it comes to the mega corruption cases, many of which we're all familiar with?
Let's carve out again the question of seeing blood, tempering that with the question of due process. Your fellow journalist asked me the other day, and he made the suggestion that, look, we should scrap all these institutions and just grab all corrupt people, line them in Oro Park, and shoot all of them. And my answer to this journalist was this. They will come and grab you, let's say Julie Gishuru, and they will tell you you are one of the most corrupt people in Kenya. And you will say, but I'm a journalist, I have never engaged in corruption. By that time, you will be screaming.
And I'm entitled to due process.
Exactly. You will be screaming and they will be taking you to Oro Park. And much as you know that you have never been corrupt, you will find yourself being one of the people who should be
So you're saying
shot.
you must follow the letter of the law.
So we must follow the law.
Is this proving to be a challenge, though, as well?
It is a challenge, but it is a challenge that must be weathered. Let me also say this. Can we be a bit critical about who is saying the war is lost? There could be people who have benefited from corruption for a long time. But because it is not business as usual, because for the first time we have a commission which is anchored in the Constitution for fighting corruption, they feel threatened. So their approach could be, no, let us spread the propaganda that the war is lost. When was this commission put together? We have just finished putting together the fully constituting the commission. When has the war been lost in the new constitutional dispensation?
Do you believe the war was lost previously?
One could say that we were almost losing the war. I don't believe it was lost, but we were heading towards losing the war.
Let's look at previous people who've held a similar position to yours, and Justice Aaron Ringera, for one, who came in and spoke of slaying the dragon of corruption. You know, whether he slew anything is debatable. We also saw PLO Lumumba come in and say the forces of corruption impeded his ability to play his role and didn't achieve very much. So corruption fighting back, what's your experience been so far?
I think we have seen the proponents of the status quo ante, the situation that was there before. When we have arrested people and together with the DPP taken people to court, they have gone to the higher courts to say, I should not be prosecuted. Reason, my rights are being violated. We have gone to the higher court, done battle with them, And about 90% of that, I am proud to say we have won. And they have been told, go back to the court which has the primary jurisdiction and go and plead not guilty and offer your defense. You cannot anticipate violation of your rights. If during the trial your rights are being violated, then come to us, but you cannot anticipate that. It's part of taking the corner to show that it is not business as usual.
Okay, so let's come to the issues of the counties, and we have various different issues we need to touch on, but let's start with corruption in the counties. And you've promised to put the counties under a spotlight when it comes to the fight against corruption. And, you know, there's a county advisory program that is in place. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing so far. And are you going for governors? Is that part of your mandate? Is that what you're doing?
I will start with the latter question, Julie.
Right.
We have said that by and large, we want to let governors work. But we have also said that there are no governors who are thieves. But there could be a number of thieves who have found their way into offices of governor and other state offices.
Very politically correct.
We must deal
yeah,
with the thief, even if he's sitting on the chair of the governor. But the governor, we must let him work. Not only let him work, but we will support the county government. Let me talk about the county advisory program. When we team up with the counties, we are telling them, we know that you are very young. They are only a year and plus in office. So we are telling them, we can assist you put systems in place for making sure that the profits of devolution do go to the Kenyans. That is good governance and good and services closer to the people.
So the first step is empowering with information.
Yes.
And making them understand
yes.
what they can do and what they cannot do.
Exactly.
And the focus is the interest of the Wananchi.
It's the interest of the Wananchi.
Okay, let's come very quickly to the issue of the police recruitment, which of course has raised a lot of hackles. You released a press release saying that the drive was indeed marred by corrupt practices, so no question there. However, you handed the matter, it seemed, over to the Independent Police Oversight Authority. Have you, is it
no,
out of
there's
your
something
hands
that
now?
I need to correct.
Yes.
What we gave to Kenyans and to the National Police Service Commission was the fact that we are receiving concerns from Kenyans. And even before we investigate any, we must tell you that we are receiving quite a number of concerns from Kenyans. And we told them it is necessary for these to be looked into so that we see the extent. Depending on what you find, you will have a different range of options. If it is completely rotten, you might then do the right thing. If we can identify stations and recruitment centers which can be clearly identified that here, the exercise should be nullified in this place entirely, or a candidate who was picked here was picked corruptly, but do not victimize that person who left home, went, ran their heart out, they are fit. So we said we want a situation where justice is done to both people. The person who went for recruitment and the person who bribed is taken
what
out.
are the next steps? For instance, if the Oversight Committee says we're not acting on these, or we're acting on a few, and yet there are still so many more complaints, what would your next steps be?
First, we came up with a joint working group, which incorporates the National Police Service Commission, the EACC, the police itself, the Ministry of Interior. We invited IPOA as well, quite broad-based. We took the deliberate decision not to chair as EACC that working group for a reason. We said we have a distinct mandate. We are continuing to receive reports, and we are not ruling out who we might receive a report against. We do not want to compromise ourselves. So we said we will provide technical support, but we will still leave our mandate intact. On 4th of August, we will get a report from the working group. That report is the one that will inform the best option.
Way forward.
Yeah.
Somebody has tweeted here, William Odidi says, should we call corruption a disease or a norm in Kenya? And this is the whole, yes, please respond.
A good question.
And as I say that, can I put the director on notice? We'd like to see the poll results so far, so please have them ready to go up on our screen. How would you respond to that?
I would respond this way. I would say that we should fight corruption as a war. We have fought wars in Kenya, wars of liberation. We liberated ourselves from the colonial masters. There were doubting Thomases. We won. We fought to get back multipartyism. There were people who said all sorts of things about embracing single-party system, but we won. Mm-hmm. We fought to get a new constitution. There were people who doubted. We won. I would say that if all of us now say that our next focus is to train our guns on corruption,
we can win the fight.
We can win the fight.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
We'll get our results in just a short while. We want to go through a segment that we normally have on Sunday Live called Net Search. We look at the top Google searches in Kenya over the week. So this week we're looking at the top trends between July 20th, 8 a.m. to July 27th, 8 a.m. for Kenya. We start at number 10. And this is Brenda Nambi. Now, Brenda Nambi is a Ugandan singer whose nude photos went online, shocking her fans. Some have described this as a publicity stunt. She has also released her new video this week, and she captured the imagination of Kenya this week. At number 9, let's take a look at who stands. It's Harambee Stars. They played the match with Lesotho. That was last week, Sunday. It got plenty of attention. The Africa Cup of Nations match last Sunday ended in a draw with 2-2. At number 8 this week is meningitis. Now, this follows the tragic death of Citizen TV's actress Nancy Nyambura. We've taken you through that whole story. And she actually passed away in hospital after contracting meningitis. Our thoughts and prayers are with her family at this difficult time. Meningitis, by the way, is a bacterial infection of the membranes covering the brain and the spinal cord. The most common causes of meningitis are viral infections, and these usually get better without treatment. However, bacterial meningitis is extremely serious and results, as in this case, in death or sometimes in brain damage. Let's go to number 7 now and see what Kenyans have been searching. It's GRIS, and this is the Government Human Resource Information System portal. It's set up to address all its human resource needs. Now, this is the second time this portal is coming up in our top searches on Net Search. It registers a spike in searches when jobs have been advertised, and that's particularly interesting. People are paying attention and seeking opportunities. Interesting. Coming in at number 6 is former President Mwai Kibaki, and this is after Senate Minority Leader Moses Wetangula asked that Kibaki advise Jubilee on how to run the government. We'll come back to our top 5 in just a short while. This is quite an important indicator, this Net Search, because it tells us what the country is interested in. And sometimes one thing we're seeing, and particularly we will probably see later in the show, is that we're sometimes paying attention to things that you wouldn't think are of importance. And so, when we look, for instance, at an issue like corruption, we focus a lot on grand corruption, but there's a lot of petty corruption. And people probably excuse this kind of behavior. What is your role as a commission in re-educating the public?
We have a preventive section, which we have promoted to a whole directorate for not only educating, but partnering with Kenyans and telling Kenyans to have the presence of mind that we may be over-obsessed with the big fish, but no fish is born big. They grow. They
start somewhere.
Yeah, they start somewhere. We also looked at something that was quite interesting in one traffic police position along the trunk roads. We conducted a sting operation, and we found within 2 hours there was over 20,000 shillings collected. So we looked at how many places like those you will find a traffic police. And we did a quick calculation, and we found that is a lot of money in a day. Then extrapolated to a month. Then you would find that we are talking about, if you aggregate that, we are talking about
a huge amount of money.
It is not petty.
And costing this country particularly.
And costing the country lives.
Exactly.
So
immigration, security.
It is not just about money, it is the consequential effect.
Thank you. We come back to this after the break, so stay with us for a short while. We also come back to the results of our poll question. So don't go away. Stay with Sunday Live. We're talking corruption. Share your views. 22422 is the SMS number. Stay with Sunday Live. Welcome back to Sunday Live. Your views are coming in. Our poll question today, we were asking your thoughts on the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. We asked, is the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission doing enough to justify its existence? Yes, 44%, no, 56%. Now, you know, the no's have it, but when it's that close, I'll tell you, you have a lot of public confidence in you. So let's go to next steps and your final message. We have a lot of messages coming in from Kenyans on particular instances, which we can share with your office. One person is asking for contacts. How can people share information in a confidential way with your office? Please share those with us. But give us a final statement to the country. You've taken this office. What can we expect from you?
I think one thing that we expect, there's something that we need to talk about, the leadership and integrity process. The first thing is that with the process where we now tell people that they must abide by the law, whether we are focused so much on the process of appointment, we forget about what we want people to do when they get to that seat, that they must act in a manner that brings honor to that office. Today, we are able to make our input depending on what Kenyans tell us and say there are issues about this person. And people have asked those questions. What we say, we don't convict somebody. We say, much as this person retains their presumption of innocence, we also want to state a fact to the recruiting authority that we have a report about this person, and this is what we've been told. We will the first thing that we must continue is making sure that we raise the responsibility level in terms of the people who are sitting in public office.
Right.
But the next thing is we are rallying the private sector. We are telling the private sector, you have a role to play.
Right.
And we have seen response from the private sector because the Association of Professional Societies of East Africa came to us and told us, we want to have an MOU with you because we are the link between the private sector and the public sector.
Private sector is critical in playing this role and saying, you know, your final message, which is to the citizenry.
The final message to the citizen is this. I would like to ask the citizen to even accept to be a bit inconvenienced in the fight against corruption, including coming to testify, giving us evidence. Where they fear for their lives, we will protect their identity. We will take that as intelligence. But we are asking the Kenyan, please come along with us. We have said we want to be in the front line. You can't be in the front line if there is nobody behind you.
Okay.
Can
so
Kenyans come with us, please?
Credible information and be corruption-free yourself.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for joining us in studio. And continue to share your views with us on corruption. 22422 is the SMS number. You can also share your views on Twitter and Facebook as well. Now, we have a good story.